The Dow Jones sold off about 300 points on Friday, December 27th. Today is Sunday, December 29th, so I'm going to get you ready for the trading week. We're going to go through the Dow Jones today and some stocks that look interesting for long-term investors, swing traders, and position traders. A lot of stuff has pulled back to key levels, so we're going to be using the 30-week moving average on a weekly time frame. You'll see right here. I also have PE, forward PE, and PEG for any stock that we pick. And we're going to go through every one of these stocks with the exception of Verizon. So we're going to start with Sherwin-Williams. We have the relative volume, and this is for Friday. We have beta. We have the RSI 14. You can see this is oversold. The previous close from Friday, and then this is all pretty self-explanatory. I have headers that can tell you what they all mean. So for each stock we pick, just take a quick look at these. I will not go through them each one. We'll look at VWAP on a daily time frame for 1 year period. We'll look at a daily moving average, volume, and the RSI 14 on a 1 year time frame on a daily period. We'll look at the weekly moving average and weekly volume for a 1 year period. We'll look at the trend channel for a 1 year period on a daily time frame. We'll look at the MACD on a daily time frame for a 1 year period, and we will look at the Chaikin money flow on a 1 year period for the daily time frame. And we'll decide if these look interesting for an entry or not. And you can interpret all these indicators however you wish, but all of them by themselves don't work great. But if we put them all together, maybe we can paint a picture and decide if these stocks are worth entering or taking a position in moving forward or not. So let's get right into it. I'm going to try and do this in 2 minutes or less for each one of these stocks. We're going to go through about roughly 20 stocks. The first one is going to be Sherwin-Williams. So if we look at VWAP, this is a 1 year time frame. We did break below VWAP back here in around April, mid-April, and then we broke back above it in July. And VWAP is just a moving average that calculates volume and the moving average together to give us a line. And you can see we're hugging tight to the VWAP right now, but we haven't broke below it. So it's acting as a level of support. So this alone is telling us it could be a good entry point. If we look at the daily moving average, we're looking at 189 day. You can see we've pretty much held the 189 day for the whole year. Right now we're hugging it again. We have some relative volume back here in mid-November, and we went up on that, and now we've since pulled back on weaker volume. And we are in oversold territory. So that could be a good indication of a place to enter for this stock. There was also probably tax loss selling this week, so keep that in mind too. If we look at a weekly moving average, we have some big volume, which for that week where we saw the big volume on the daily time frame, now we see it on the weekly time frame. The 30-week, we have gone under here, and then we are slightly under it now here, but we're still trending up. If we check the 40-week, which would be our next level of support, we are hugging the 40-week moving average. So all these things indicate to me so far that Sherwin-Williams has low risk, high reward for an entry. We're at the bottom of the trend channel for Sherwin-Williams. We have a MACD that is underneath the zero line, but it has not crossed the single line yet, but it is trending up and converging together. And we have extreme distribution on the Chaikin money flow, which could suggest a reversal at some point here. It did turn. What we like to see is when this crosses the zero line and stays above the zero line, we have a lot of accumulation. Anything below the zero line, we have distribution, but we have extreme distribution here. We haven't had distribution at this level for the whole year. As you can see right here, we're at negative 42. We've never been at that level for the whole year until now. So this is really sold off and could be an opportunity for a reversal. So just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean it will, and you have to use your own stops. You have to use your own judgment. This is just information, not recommendations. The next stock we're going to look at is going to be Procter & Gamble. You can see we have a 29 PE, a forward PE of 22, and a PEG of 4.34. It's not as bad of oversold territory, and we don't have a big beta. If we go to the VWAP, we have held VWAP all year, but we don't get it very extended off of it, so there isn't a whole lot of upside. This doesn't go higher. This is for somebody who's a little less, wants to take on a little less risk, just moves up nice and slow. Our daily moving average, we've held the 189 day. Anytime we've come down and touched it, we've bounced off of it. We did have some relative volume here that when we came back, but we also had a lot of accumulation on the volume right here. We are not as extreme levels, and our RSI is trending up, which could indicate a reversal. Our weekly moving average, same thing. Our 30-week, we're slightly under it. If we check the 40-week, we are pretty much holding the 40-week moving average. And this just does not have a lot of volatility. It just trends up very, very slightly over the year. The trend channel you can see is slightly uptrending, but very tight. We are getting ready to cross, it looks like, if we don't get rejected. The MACD is getting ready to cross the single line. And we also are at extreme levels for the distribution on the Chaikin money flow. Now we're going to look at Microsoft. We have a 35 PE with a 28 forward PE and a PEG ratio of 2.59. We're not quite as in oversold territory, and it was down a little less than 2% from Friday's close. If we look at the 1-year VWAP, you can see we kind of chop around here, and we are coming back close to it, but we are still above it. And the VWAP is trending up. Just like any other moving average, we want the VWAP to be going upwards. We want it to be trending up. Anytime these start to curl down, that could be a sign that institutions are starting to get out. Our daily moving average is trending up, and we are hugging tight to it. We are very close. We're 1 point. This right here is the percentage above or below the moving average we are, and we're selected to the 189. We're 1.68% above. Our RSI is trending down, and we have some relative volume on the sell side, which could be a bearish indicator. Our weekly moving average is trending up, and we are tight to it on the 40-week. The 30-week as well. So they are tight together, but we did have a big sell-off from last week to this week with relative volume. And then if we look at our trend channel, it's in a tight range. It's at just near the bottom. We actually have a bearish cross trending down on the MACD, but we are above the 0 line for accumulation for Microsoft, which indicates this is a stronger stock than the other two. But it is trending down. So we like to see this bounce off of the 0 line without crossing it, this Chaikin money flow. Now we're going to take a quick look at Caterpillar. You can see we're at a P of 16.92 with a forward P of 16.57 with a PEG of 1.78, beta of 1.11, and we are in oversold territory at 22.72. If we go to the VWAP, we have pretty much held VWAP for most of the year. We did go underneath it slightly at times, but those were opportunities, it looks like, to buy this stock, and the VWAP is trending up. If we go to the daily moving average, you can see we've held the 189 for the whole year. We have not broke through it, and right now we're sitting right on it, only 1.87% above it. We have some slight relative volume, and then we pull back on weaker volume. So that's a good indicator for Caterpillar. If we look at the weekly moving average, we're looking at the 30-week right now. We're about 0.78% above it, and we pulled back on the last 4 weeks after some buying pressure the 4 weeks before that. And then if we look at we'll take a look at the 40-week to see how far we are from that. We're pretty tight to that too as well. And the trend channel, we are in an uptrend. At the bottom of the trend, we're converging together. You can see the histogram is trending up. We are extreme levels on the Chaikin money flow we haven't seen for the whole year. This level of distribution. It's the highest level we've seen for the year of distribution on Caterpillar. So that could be bearish, or it could be that it's getting oversold and going to bounce at some point. So we're using all these indicators together. To me, I like what I see with Caterpillar, but you got to use your own judgment and you got to use your own stops to decide what you're going to do. The next one we're going to look at is Home Depot. So we're rapid firing right through these. We have a PE of 26.69, forward PE of 25.10, and a PEG of 6.23. We are in oversold territory. This does only have a beta of 1.03. If we look at VWAP, Home Depot did break down below VWAP earlier in the year, but it has come back across here around August, and it's held VWAP since August, and it is trending up. If we look at the daily moving average, we have pretty much stayed above the 189-day on the long term for the year. We do have some relative volume here, and it looks like the RSI is trying to turn, but it's choppy right now. If we look at the weekly moving average, we are tight to the 30-week, 2.89% above it, and we did have some relative volume on that sell-off, but we had a lot of buying pressure beforehand. So this looks like opportunity to me. If we look at the 40-week, we're only 5.45% above that. If we look at the trend channel, we're not quite at the bottom of the trend channel, a little below the middle. We do have a converging MACD that has not crossed yet, and we have a Chaikin money flow is below zero, but it has started to trend up. So there could be a turn happening here for Home Depot. So from a technical analysis standpoint, this looks like an interesting stock. Now we're going to look at McDonald's. We have 25 PE, 25.78 PE, a 4 PE of 23.29 with a PEG of 4.78. McDonald's is only about 3% above its 30-week moving average. We have beta of 0.73 and it's 39.42 the RSI. If we go to the VWAP, we have been, it was very bearish for most of the year until we crossed right here on August 19th, which probably has some catalyst like earnings or something like that. And then we just trend up, 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 and then we pull back and we're tight to the, not tight to it, but we're not extended either. If we look at the daily moving average, same thing. We are tight to the 189 day. We're only about 5% above the 189 day, and we are slightly trending up. We're right around the 50 for the RSI, so I'd love to see a cross of the 50. That would be bullish. Anytime we go from below the 50 to above the 50 for the RSI, that's bullish. If we look at the weekly moving average, 30-week, we are trending up and we are above the 30-week, but very tight to it. The 40-week, we are same, pretty tight to it. Kind of sideways. We are slightly trending up, not by a lot, but slightly on the 40-week. If we look at the trend channel, you can see we're in a sideways channel. We're a little above the middle of the channel, and this is a tight channel for McDonald's. And the MACD is trying to, it's hard to see there, so we're just going to open this up a little bit so we can tell. It is not crossed yet, but it is trying to. You can see it's got there and got rejected. And we're only we just went from accumulation for McDonald's to distribution on the Chaikin money flow. So we want to see this turn back up to accumulation. Now, if we look at Travelers, we have a PE of 12.39. So if you're a value person, that's very low with a 4 PE of 11.38 and a PEG of 0.71. All those are very good value metrics. This is mostly meant to be technical analysis, but this just gives us a real quick overview of that. We're 3.8% above the 30-week moving average. We have a beta of 0.62, and we are oversold at 25.31. If we look at the VWAP for Travelers, we are above and trending up, and we've only gone below. We went below it for a little portion of the year here and then crossed back and stayed above it ever since. If we go to daily, same thing. We've held the 189 for the whole year. Anytime we come back near the 189, that creates opportunity. Our volume is pretty much, there's not a whole lot of relative volume on the sell or buy side here. Where our RSI looks like it's flatlining. Our weekly moving average, the 30-week, we're holding tight to it. We did sell off after some accumulation here with some relative volume, but we held the 30-week moving average. The 40, and we're 3.86% above the 40-week. We're about 5.37% above the 40-week. And if we look at the trend channel, we are in an uptrend. We're slightly below the midline. We got a MACD that's getting ready to cross. As you can see, the histogram's trending up. It has not crossed yet. And we're at extreme levels of distribution. So we're hoping that the sell-off is over and the institutions will start come back and start accumulating and pushing this line back up. Now we're looking at 3M. We have a PE of 16.43 and the 4 PE is roughly the same. We have a beta of 0.95 and we are not oversold. We're at 40.34. If we look at the VWAP, this is a much stronger stock. Once we crossed earlier in the year, we have held VWAP. In fact, we had another breakout and we're choppy here, trending up and down, up and down, up and down. So we want to watch this. We'd be looking for a stock like this. I'm not so much looking for it to pull back to VWAP. What I'm looking for is a break of the high, because we have volatility contraction pattern here where we're just going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, but we haven't broke this 139 right here. So I'd be looking for this to break 139, and if it does, 139.44, if this gets into 140 level, that would be good because you'd draw a line here and we would break a resistance level. That would be very bullish. So that's something to keep an eye on. From the daily perspective, you see the same thing. We're not far away from we're not extended from the long-term moving average, but we're not tight to it either. Our relative strength is right around the 50 level, but it's come back to the 40 level. So this is interesting. The 30-week moving average are tight to that, and we're holding it. This could be a launching pad for this to break the 140 level. And if it does, it could be going much, much higher. The trend channel is in an uptrend, but we're at the lower half of the trend channel. Let's see the MACD here. We have crossed on the MACD, as you can see right here, below the zero line, and we actually have accumulation for this stock. So we come back, but we're above the zero line, and right now we're getting close to touching the zero line right here. We're at 4.6. So I'd like to see this bounce back up. As soon as I see this turn from negative to positive, there's a lot to like about 3M as a possible trade. All right, so now we're on to NVIDIA, everybody's favorite. We have a 53 PE with a forward PE of 30.95 and a PEG of 1.54. We have a beta of 1.62. We're not quite oversold. We're at the 42 level. And if we look at VWAP, we can see that NVIDIA has held VWAP all year with the exception of 2 periods here. And this looks like a double bottom to me. And this would have been a great entry. We fell on August 7th to 98 before we shot back up to 130. And then we fell back down to 102 on September 6th until we shot all the way up to 143. We're a little extended from the VWAP line, but NVIDIA is a very strong stock that you can see stays extended for long periods. If we look at the daily moving average, we stay above the 189-day for the whole year. You can see volume here is a little different earlier in the year than now because we did have a stock split. So keep that in mind. That's why the level's so low here compared to here. We're right around just under the 50 line. So I would love to see NVIDIA break that 50 line, and that would be a good indicator that institutions are coming back in and pushing this price higher, as I expect it to do. If we look at moving average, we're tight to the 30-week. We're only about 7.48%. Anytime we get near the 30-week, over the last year, it was a good opportunity to buy NVIDIA. This would have been a good opportunity. This would have been a good opportunity. And this would have been a good opportunity. We went up from all of those levels back up. If we look at the trend channel, we are, actually we'll go back to the weekly real quick. Check, see how far extended we are from the 40. About a little less than 16% from the 40 week. And the trend channel is in an uptrend. It's below the midline. We do have a cross of the MACD below the zero line. See if we can see this a little better. And it has turned bullish and below the zero line, so that could indicate a good entry. And we have gone from this is probably one of the best indicators that I've seen for the Chaikin money so far. We've gone from negative to positive above zero with a MACD cross, and we're near the 30-week moving average. NVIDIA looks like not that this isn't news to most people, but like a very good entry point at these levels. But that is not, I'm not telling you that you should buy it or shouldn't buy it. It's up to you what you do. It's just, to me, it looks like a good entry point. Now we're going to look at Honeywell. We have a 26 PE with a 20.79 forward PE with a 3.36 PEG, 1 beta, 54. We are in above this is bullish because we are above the 50 line. Anytime we're above the 50 line, I look at that as bullish momentum for the RSI. If we look at VWAP, we are above VWAP, and we are trading in a volatility range here. So this is like a VCP pattern. So we would be looking, we broke here at 233. We broke out at 233, and the high we've seen is 236. So I'd be looking for a break of 236, and for Honeywell for it to go higher, and then be putting stops in below that. The VCP patterns that Mark Minervini coined that term, and it's basically just, you go up and you go down, you break out, and then you go up and down in a range sideways until you break above a resistance level. So right now that resistance level would be, for me, the resistance level is always the high in that pattern. Right there is 236. If we look at a daily moving average, we are about 10% above the 189-day. We are above the 50, and we just crossed above the 50. This could all be indications that we are going to be breaking above this 236 level for Honeywell. If we look at the weekly moving average, we have lots of buying volume over the past several weeks. Another indication that we could be breaking those levels. If we look at the trend channel, It's tight, but we're at the top of the trend. When we do break this channel, which I think we will do based on the patterns I'm seeing here, if and when we do, there's no guarantee. We could have a sell-off and it could go down, but if it does break this and clearly breaks it, this top channel then becomes, right now it's resistance, this top channel will become its support. And we have a MACD that is above the zero line, and it's tried to cross here, but then came back, and now it's trying to cross again. So it's trying to cross. We do have distribution for this stock, the Chaikin money flow, but the distribution is trending up. So these are all good signs that there could be more money coming into Honeywell. Honeywell looks like an interesting trade to me. I get excited when I see stuff like this. Maybe you can tell it in my voice, but this is something that I will be putting on my radar. But you also got to use your own risk management and decide where you want to put your stops in. Okay, now we're going to talk about Boeing. We do not have a PE, but we do have a forward PE of 149.56. We are about 8% above our 30-week moving average with a 1.56 beta, and we're hitting huge levels of RSI. So this is bullish. When you get to this level, when something becomes oversold, it can stay oversold for a long time. So keep this in mind. This could be bullish right here, that this is 98.03. If we look at the VWAP, we have just crossed VWAP, which is a good indicator that institutional money is coming into Boeing. We look at the daily moving average, we have just crossed the 189-day. It is trending down slightly, but it's getting weaker and weaker, the downtrend, so this could be turning. And the fact that we have this big volume here, and the volume is getting weaker, but we have more buys than sells over the last several days, about a month, and our RSI is trending up like this, makes Boeing something I would be putting on my list as a potential trade. So Honeywell and Boeing are very strong indicators, showing me strong indications that I want to put down for a possible trade. I don't know if I'll trade them or not, and I do not own them at the current time, but I may trade them for full disclosure. Weekly moving average, you see we had this big sell-off, and then we came down slightly here, and then we came back up. So that was 11.1, 11.15. So we had that big sell-off volume, and we had 2 more weeks of sell-offs, and then we've gone up from there. The trend channel is a downtrend, but we have broke the trend line. So anyone who draws trend lines, this is really all trend channel does. You might see people who will draw a line with points. Well, trend channel do the same thing. When you break it on a downtrend, that could be bullish, and it could be your resistance can now become support. We also have a MACD that's been crossed and is open, so that's bullish. And the Chaikin money flow is showing us that we had some accumulation right here, and then we did fall down below the zero line, but we are turning a corner right now, so I'd like to see that go back up. So Boeing's something to keep an eye on. You don't have to make a trade right now. You may want to just keep an eye on it and see what it does. Okay, so now we're going to look at IBM. We have a 32.43 PE with a forward PE of 20.77 and a PEG of 7.37, beta of 0.73, and we are oversold at the 29 level, just barely, about 8%, about 9% above our 30-week moving average. If we look at VWAP, we haven't been above it all year, but when we did cross it here in July, we've stayed above it ever since, and we are at a extreme level here. If we go to the daily moving average above the 189, and we are about 13.39% above the 189, with the RSI trending down, which could be an indication that institutions are selling off a little bit here, are going to be selling off. We have a weekly moving average that we've stayed above since July of 30-week, and if we look at the 40-week, we've been above that the whole year. There's no real huge relative volume one way or another. This has just been trending up for the year. If we look at the trend channel, we're in an uptrend right in the middle of that channel. We have a MACD cross, a bearish MACD cross, and we just crossed the zero line on the Chaikin money flow, which could be a bearish indicator as well. It could also bounce back, so it's just something to keep an eye on. Okay, now we're going to look at JP Morgan Chase. The bank has a 13 PE with a forward PE of 14, PEG of 8, a beta of 1.11, and an RSI of 40.64. It's about 10% above its 30-week moving average. If we look at VWAP, it has held VWAP all year. Anytime it's come down and touched VWAP with good entry points for this stock. So this is a strong stock overall, and anytime you get a pullback on VWAP, you want to enter. Over the last year, you would have wanted to enter this. On a daily moving average, we've held the 189-day for the year. We do have some relative volume. On the bullish side, we're also in a slight volatility contraction pattern. So it looks like this is probably the high. So you want to, and then we pulled back. Oh, no, we got to 250.29. So about 251. If we break 251, this could be going much, much higher from there. So you say, well, why wouldn't you just want to buy it right here at 243? Because we want confirmation. If it breaks 251, that gives us confirmation that institutions are breaking key levels, and it could be going much higher. Weekly moving average, we have a 30-week all year. We're only about 10% above that 30-week, and the 40-week, we are about 13% above. So not too overextended. We do have some bearish volume recently, but that's just a little bit of a pullback, and that pullback will be getting ready to be spring loaded to go up. So when we look at this next tab, this helps us indicate if it's being spring loaded for that VCD pattern to go up higher. We're in the middle of the trend line. We do have a MACD that looks like it's crossing right around, just above the zero line. Nope, it has not crossed yet, but it's trying to cross, and it got there and started to bend. So we'll see if this crosses. If you want confirmation that the MACD crosses, you'd wait for that. And then our Chaikin money flow is in distribution phase, but it is trending up. So we'd like to see this cross the zero line. There could be a big move ahead for JP Morgan if this crosses the zero line, the MACD crosses, and we break that key level of, I think it was 251, I said. So keep all of that in mind. Okay, now we're going to look at Goldman Sachs. We have a P of 16.91 with a forward P of 13.44 and a PEG of 0.77. So if you're a value investor or you like value metrics, these could all be good. Do further research. These are just, some real quick value metrics. 11% above the Goldman, about 12% above the 30-week moving average with a beta of 1.37 and RSI 14 of 38.85. If we look at VWAP, we've held VWAP all year, and we are extended. We're also in another volatility contraction pattern, so it looks like maybe the banks are getting ready for a move because we saw the same pattern with JP Morgan, and this looks like maybe this is the high. So we'd be looking for this to go above 608, but maybe to the 610 level. You see this get to 610, and you know the institutions are probably coming in. That's where you want to be a buyer. Even though it's at 581 right now, you want to quick move. If you want to buy it for a quick move, you wait for it to get to 610. If you want to buy it and keep it while it's above its VWAP, then you can absolutely do that, but just know the downside's all the way down to 465. Our daily moving average, we're well above that, and you can see we see that same volatility contraction pattern. We had some relative volume here. This is where we jump from here to here, and now we are to the right. So this is kind of like I say volatility contraction pattern. It's also like a flag, a bull flag. So we're just looking, if I was to draw a line here and a line here, you'd see like a flag shape, like a triangle, and we want to break that for a big move higher. If we look at the weekly moving average, you see we have a bullish volume on this chart for the year. Our 30-week we've held for the whole year. Anytime we come back near the 30-week, it's a good entry point. And on our 40-week, we are about 16.45% above that. So this is not an overextended stock either, 11.7 above the 30-week. Our trend channel, we're in an uptrend right in the middle. We have a MACD that looks like it's getting ready to cross, same as JP Morgan, getting ready to cross. You see the histogram is going up. And if we back this out, we're going sideways. We are extreme distribution levels for the Chaikin money flow. So we want to see this turn back up. And that's it for that one. Now we got Visa, and we have a PE of 32.75, a forward PE of 25.17 with a PEG of 2.56, beta of 0.96, and this is a strong stock right now because this is at the 60 level. So this is a stock that I would be getting interested in for a quick trade, for a quick movement. If we look at VWAP, we have broke VWAP back here in September, and we've stayed above VWAP since then. In fact, we broke out here from 1029 to 11.6 from about 284 to 307. So not a huge breakout. We're at we're breaking key levels, so this could be going much higher from here. This is also like a flag or a volatility contraction pattern. If we look at daily average, you see we're above that. We have some relative volume here. We're holding this 50 on the RSI for a long time, which is bullish. This tells me that institutions want this stock. Visa is institutions are accumulating it. We look at the weekly moving average. The 30-week has been violated towards the middle of the year, but then we came back above it and held it. We on the 40-week time frame, same thing. We have gone below it, but then came back above, and we've been holding it. We're about 12%, 13% above it, and we do have some relative volume 2 weeks ago on the 30-week moving average. On the weekly moving average. We look at the trend channel. We're in an uptrend, and we have broke that channel to the top. I'd like to see a more clear break, and then I would consider this a level of support. And we do have a MACD that looks like it's getting ready. It's well above the zero line, and it is crossed slightly, I think. Let's see here. What's this? Nope, it's -2. So it's not quite crossed, but it's getting close to being crossed. And then the Chaikin money flow, we do have accumulation here, so this is bullish. So there's a lot of bullish things for this stock right here. The RSI is above 50. We have accumulation. We're trying to cross the MACD. We're in a sideways channel, and we're breaking above. Visa could be going much, much higher from here based on these indicators. But it could also be a fake out, and you have to have stops for those reasons. So you have to decide where your stops are. Disney. We have a 41 PE with a forward PE of 18 and a PEG of 3.87. So this is going to be moving forward on the PE level. We have a beta of 1.42, and we're in oversold territory at 27. If we look at VWAP, this was very weak throughout the year. We were very strong, then we were very weak, and now we're getting back to being strong. And we are in the same pattern here that we've seen several times, where we break out and then we move sideways, right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. It's kind of like a flag pattern. If you had a candlestick chart, this would be a little easier, but I do have it, but it's not great. So you can kind of see we gap up, and then we trade sideways, where we go up, we come down, we go up, down, up, down. And then on the daily chart, we have that pattern. We have some bullish volume on the there's really not much of a pullback. The level I'd be looking to break here would be about 118. If we break 118, this could be going much higher because it has pulled back slightly on weaker volume. And we are below the RSI is below the 50 line. And the weekly moving average, we have broke out on relative volume. Whenever we break out of the weekly moving average on relative volume, that is a good sign. This is a good time to get into this stock. And in fact, this breakout was 115, and now we're at 111. If you wanted to not wait for this to break on the next level for a quick move, if you're more of a longer term trader, you could buy this and use the 40-week or the 30-week as a stop. I'll assume we're above the 30-week. We are above the 30-week. So you can use either one of those as a stop. You're only risking about 12% on these, 12 to 15% on these, between 10 and 15% on each one of these levels. If we look at the trend channel, we have broke above the trend, and now it's acting as support. The trend channel, it was slightly going down. We broke above, now it's actually support. We do have a bearish MACD, but it's starting to converge back together. We have a Chaikin money flow that went below zero, but we have turned back up. Like to see this go back above zero. So this is a strong stock. Disney is showing some good signs that it could be going higher from here. Okay, 6 more stocks to go through. We're at Apple, and then we're going to go through the rest of these. So we have Apple with a 42 PE, a 31 forward PE, and a 5.26 PEG ratio, 1.23 beta, and we are getting in oversold territory. That is a good thing. That means money is being accumulated, and we can stay oversold for a long time. That's a bullish indicator for Apple. So you got to decide, do you want to buy the pullbacks like Caterpillar that were a little more bearish, hit the line, or do you want to buy the bullish stocks like Apple who are being accumulated by institutions right now? It's up to you. VWAP. We broke VWAP earlier in the year, and we've held it all year, and we are getting extended. So you may want to There's no sideways pattern right now. We are just in an upward pattern. So you may want to wait for a pullback on this, or, if you're a person that's more risk averse, you may just want to buy and hold it for as long as we keep going up. There's nothing indicating yet that it's going down, but we have to look at all these other charts. We're holding this, we're well above the 50 line here for the RSI. So we had a little relative volume right here, and we're just trending up for Apple. Our weekly moving average, we come back. This would have been our good opportunity right here on the 30-week when we pull back tight to it, and then we spring load off of it and bounce. You can see we get relative volume here, and when we get that relative volume, then we wait for our pullback. We want weaker volume, which we have on that pullback, and then we jump. Trend channel, we're in an uptrend. We're getting near the top of that trend. We have a MACD that's open, but it's converging together, and we have strong extreme accumulation for Apple, which could mean, right? I told you we like to cross that zero line when we cross it as bullish. This is bullish, but when you get to these extreme levels, you can start to see some fall off and then the price come back down. I'm not saying that'll happen. This could just continue to go higher, but we could see a better entry point for Apple. Based on what I'm seeing, I think we'll get a better entry point, but I could be wrong. I get things wrong all the time. You have to do your own due diligence. You have to decide. I'm just giving you some information here. American Express, we have a 22 PE with a forward PE of 20 and a PEG of 1.48, beta of 1.23, and we're right around the midline for the RSI. So between 0 and 100 would be the midline, so 47.23, just below the 50. VWAP, we have held VWAP all year, but we are getting extended. But we broke out a little bit here, and now we're trading sideways, so there could be another breakout coming. This is not just trading straight up, it's break and then sideways. So I'd be looking, if I wanted to get into this for quick moves, I'd be looking for it to break probably about the 305, 306 level, about the $306. I'd be looking for it to break that, and then I'd be putting a stop probably at like the 21 day or something like that. Or just below the 21 day. We're right around the 50 line. We did break below it. We've held the 189 day all year. It's 18% above that. So that could be a little. We're 14% above the 30 week. We are about 17.5% above the 40 week. And if we look at the trend channel, we're in an uptrend right around the middle. We are trying to cross, the MACD is trying to cross, but it has not above the zero line. We do have distribution of this stock. It's not at extreme levels. Well, it kind of is actually compared to the rest of the year. It is, but it's really not at extreme levels. So it's anytime this stock gets down to around 20 or just near the 20 line, money comes back in, and that's where we're at right now, based on what's happened earlier in the year, over the last year. Now we're going to look at Cisco Systems. We have a 25 PE with a forward PE of 15 and a PEG of 6.36, beta of 0.85. We have an RSI of 47.68. If we look at the VWAP, you can see this has just crossed right here back in August, and this would have been maybe a good place to enter when we pulled right back tight to it, so 48. Or you could have waited for a break since we went sideways of this level, and this actually would have been a better place to buy this, because this would have been confirmation that it's going higher because you broke a resistance level. And then from there, that 51 went all the way up to 59. And that might not sound like much, but that's about a little less than a 20% gain, maybe 18%. If we look at daily average, we have crossed the 189. We're trending up. We have some relative volume right here, and we have buying volume that follows it, and even here is much weaker on the day when we have selling volume. And then if we look at the weekly moving average, we're trending up on the 30 week. We're about 14% above that. On the 40 week, we're about 16% above. If we look at the trend channel, we're right at the top of the line. We are crossing. I think we're crossing. Yes, we did cross the MACD. We have a MACD cross above the zero line, and we have all accumulation for quite a while here, since back in September, and it's been nothing but accumulation for Cisco. So this is bullish, and we're crossing, and we're hitting key levels. Cisco looks very interesting because of all of these technical indicators are telling me that institutions want into this stock. This is a very bullish stock from a technical analysis perspective, in my personal opinion. Do your own due diligence, but in my personal opinion, this is a very bullish one. Now we got Amazon that has a PE of 47.95 with a forward PE of 35.84 and a PEG of 2.66. We're about 16% above our 30-week moving average with a beta of 1.16 and an RSI of 45.86. We've held VWAP for most of the year. We did come under it right here around August, and we stayed under it, choppy around it until we broke back above it on September 12th. And on that break, we had some sideways action, and then we broke out again with some sideways action where we broke out again, and now we have sideways action. So again, I think the answer is yes, because right now we're in a sideways pattern, and what it's telling us is, we're gonna break out, we're gonna trade sideways, take a breather. We're gonna break out, we're gonna trade sideways, take a breather. We're gonna break out, we're gonna trade sideways, we're taking a breather. So now I'm looking for a break of about the 233 level for Amazon, for it to go higher from there. Daily moving average, we've held the 189 for most of the year. We are slightly below. We just crossed below the 50 line for the RSI. We did have some relative volume, and on that pullback, we have weaker volume, which indicates bullishness. We do have some couple of weeks of bearish volume here, but it wasn't really relative volume. It's pretty much in line with the volume that we had the weeks preceding it. And then we broke off of this, we bounced off of this 30-week, and we didn't even get to it, and then we went up, and now we're trading sideways. And for the 40-week, we're 16% above the 30-week and 17% above the 40-week. Nothing is overly extended here. We do have a bearish MACD cross, but we do have accumulation on the Chaikin money flow, and we are above the trend channel. So this could be acting as a support level now. Walmart and Salesforce, those will be the last two we have to go through. And we have a forward PE of 33 times with a PE of 37 times and a PEG of 3.97, beta of 0.54, and 35.4 for the RSI. If we look at the VWAP, we are really in extended territory. We've held it or been above it all year. When we broke out, we traded sideways, we broke out again, we traded slightly up, broke out again, traded sideways. Now we're looking for our next break, right? So we want to see the break. If it starts to go down, we might be coming all the way down to this level, 71, and we're at 92. If it breaks, we're looking to use shorter term moving averages. So if we break a high here, like 95 or about $96, then we'll be using shorter term averages for our stops, and we'll be looking for it to go much higher. On a daily time frame, we're above the 189. We're just using the long-term moving average, 23.89% above it. So we are extended. So that's why I talked about how we would trade that. And then we would use we are well above the 30-week and held it all year, 16% above the 40-week, 23.2% above. And then for our trend channel, we are right in the middle of the trend channel with a bearish MACD cross, but we are still above the zero line for the accumulation of the Chaikin money flow. So that can be considered bullish, but we did come back some. So we just want to keep an eye on that. We'd like to see the MACD and the Chaikin money flow turn back up. Okay, the last one we're going to do here is CRM, Salesforce. We have a PE of 55 with a forward PE of 30 and a PEG of 3.38, beta of 1.3, and an RSI of 32. If we look at the VWAP, we're above it, and then we broke below it, and we traded sideways for quite a while until we broke above it again, traded sideways, broke out again, and now we're trading sideways. So we want to break about 370 or so. If we break 370, that would be our resistance level. The downside here is 278.86 to the volume weighted average price from 341. If we look at a daily moving average, we are well above the 189, and it is trending up. We had a little relative volume here and a little bit here, but nothing too extreme. And we are a bearish signal that we went from above the 50 RSI to below the 50 RSI. Our weekly moving average is curling up and trending up, but the price is trending down. from the last few weeks, and we do have some selling pressure, but it's on some lower volume from this week. So just keep that in mind. You might want to wait for this to come back or break this level. If we look at the trend channel, we are above the trend channel, and this is acting as a level of support, which tells us maybe it's not going to come back to the 30-week moving average. The 30-week moving average is going to come back, meet up to the price, but we do have a bearish MACD cross. However, we have a bullish Chaikin money flow. It's not overextended. We just crossed the zero line here. So these are something to keep an eye on. And you can take all this information and do what you wish with it. It's just some information to help you decide. Get your notepad out and decide what stocks look interesting to you for this week. I did the Dow Jones because it had such a big sell-off on Friday that I thought there could be some opportunity. I hope that video was helpful. If it was, consider hitting the like and subscribe button, and thank you for watching.